Hendon Hooker tore his ACL last weekend in a game against South Carolina. Michigan escaped with a narrow win against Illinois. All this plus more will be talked about on today's episode of Austin's Academy of Sports. So, let's begin. It's the game week where Michigan travels down to the Shoe to play Ohio State. It's going to be a great game, number 2 versus number 3. Both teams coming in at 11-0. 2 Heisman hopefuls on each end of the ball going at it with Blake Corum and C.J. Stroud. You know, as I mentioned about this Heisman hopeful, Blake Corum, he did get an injury last weekend. His health is kind of up in the air right now, 50-50. They're leaning on him towards playing this weekend, but, you know, I think he will. It's a big rivalry game. He's going to fight through the pain either way. It looked like a bad knee injury against Illinois last weekend, but, you know, he came back in the game in the second half and he didn't do much, but he did what he could to help the team win, get a narrow win against Illinois. And like I said, 2 11-0 teams, he's going to be playing either way, with an injury or not, maybe limited snaps. Donovan Edwards, his health is up in the air too. And then on Ohio State's side, they got the running backs. All running backs are injured right now for Ohio State and Michigan. They're not 100% fully, so we'll see how the health goes for both teams. But, you know, it's next man up mentality. And we'll see which team comes to play. And it's going to be a great game, as I mentioned. College Game Day and Fox Big Noon Kickoff will be there. You know, Ohio State fans have been waiting a long time to get revenge against this game, losing last year, and I think they'll get it this year. But, you know, it won't be in convincing fashion because Michigan, this team actually is, I think, personally better than last year's Michigan team, and Michigan's last year team was great with Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo, but I think they're better this year with their defense and offense. But, you know, we'll see who wins. And, you know, my X factors for the game, I think it'll be the fans for the Ohio State Buckeyes, as it's their home stadium. They got to come up and cheer and be ready to do the Ohio or whatever they do. And, you know, it's going to be a great game. And also my other X factor is the health of all the players, as I mentioned earlier. Who's up in the air, who's up in the air, and who's not going to play. Like I said, the rivalry game, I think every player will play unless it's like a heartwarming condition that they can't play. But anyways, no team is going to back down, so the fans must show up. And then, like I said, my prediction is Ohio State winning by a score of 34-27 by a touchdown. So, over the weekend, the world was informed that Heisman hopeful Hendon Hooker tore his ACL, sad news to hear, on a non-contact injury. He was certainly my Heisman, but now I had to pick a new Heisman, and I'm going with Caleb Williams out of USC. This will certainly change with the U of M OSU game this weekend, but you know, as of right now, I have Caleb Williams. He just had a great game against UCLA in the Rose Bowl. And he's had a great game against Utah. He's got another good game coming up against Notre Dame this weekend. And as I'll explain later in the show, but right now Caleb Williams has my edge coming into his first year with the new team, USC. And he's doing great with a few great stud wide receivers. And he's had a few, like, 300-yard, 400-yard passing games and some running games, too. So, right now, he's kind of up there with all these teams losing. Hendon Hooker going down with injury. And Blake Corum, if Kenneth Walker last year didn't get Heisman, I certainly don't think Blake Corum is, because they're both kind of the same tier level, I should say. But, you know, if Ohio State's C.J. Stroud has a great game against Michigan, then he's going to be my Heisman. But if Blake Corum has a good game against OSU, it's next week my answer will change. So we'll see what happens. But right now, Caleb Williams. So like I said, it's rivalry week for football. Everyone will play their rivals, looking for a statement win to take home, you know, whatever their respective trophy is. And that's why I want to talk about this week's games. So besides U of M, OSU, the other crucial game for college football playoff-wise is Notre Dame at USC. USC is hosting Notre Dame, and they're right up there. If TCU manages to lose, or if Michigan or Ohio State lose, USC could possibly move into there to the 14 college football playoff because they're already in their conference game coming, or their champ game coming up in a few weekends. So they're kind of already they control their own destiny. If they keep winning, they're in, because guaranteed Michigan and Ohio State are going to lose, or one of them are going to lose this week. So we'll see what happens there. And like I said, Caleb Williams might have another monster game with Jordan Addison, with Travis Dye, every single player on his team. So basically, if TCU wins and Michigan loses, then my top four would be Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, USC, and then Michigan as a 5. I wouldn't have a 6 because I would need to see what happens with this weekend's games, but that would be my top 5 if Michigan loses in the shoe this weekend, which I think they will. So, it depends. Next week, hear me out. I'll be coming up with another podcast next week, but that's my top 5 coming in as of next week. But this week, my top 5, actually my top 7, are Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, and then USC, and then LSU, of course. But LSU, they're up in the air right now too with their SEC champ game, so we'll see how that goes. And then, Caleb Williams coming back to the Heisman talk. He's got a chance to really secure his spot for Heisman with a monster game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a tough team under first-year coach Marcus Freeman, so we'll see what happens there. And then, like I said, I already gave you my top 6. And, let me know what you guys think in the comments about who your top 6 are coming into the last week of the regular season for college football-wise. Huge games, as I mentioned, for Rivalry Week. I didn't even get into all of them because I don't have the time to. But, I got in the 2 most important college football playoff races. Still Georgia. They got Georgia Tech this weekend. TCU's got Baylor. No, TCU had Baylor. TCU has... Who does TCU have? I don't even know, but I think that's a guaranteed win for TCU at home senior night. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And as always, I hope you enjoy your turkey week this week. And have a great week. Austin, signing off.